Hey everybody, Jason here. I'm going to do something a little different today. I don't normally do lots of movie reviews or anything other than role-playing game stuff on my YouTube page. And I try not to get too political with my videos. But it's something that I have a good passion for as far as entertainment goes, is the current climate and pop culture. And I had another outlet for that I don't currently have. Well, it's a long story. Anyway, I'm going to do a little review of The Joker. I went and saw Joker today at the theater. And when this movie was first announced, about a year ago or something like that, I said, this was a movie that we don't need. We don't need an origin for the Joker. He's kind of better left as a mystery. And I said, however, that being said, this movie's going to be fantastic. This is going to be like a sleeper hit of the year. It's going to be a great movie. And, so there's a bunch of controversy surrounding the movie. The shooting in Aurora, Colorado back in, what was it, '08, I think, when The Dark Knight came out. And a lot of people were saying that this movie glorifies violence. The current movie, Joker, that just came out with Joaquin Phoenix, written and directed by Todd Phillips, that it glorifies gun violence and the character's too sympathetic and it's going to cause people to commit acts of violence and stuff like that, which is all bullshit. There will be spoilers in this review. Not that, I don't know, there would be spoilers. I just don't think there's a whole lot to spoil, put it that way. I'm going to start off saying that I love this movie. I think I don't get to see a lot of movies. And when I do get a chance to watch movies, I tend to watch movies that I have already seen before because I know that I like them, and I that's the kind of movie viewer that I am. That was my cat. And so it's not often that I get to see a new movie, but I went and saw Joker, and I was really glad that I did. It lives up to the hype. It does not glorify violence. I do think that in this movie, the Joker is pretty sympathetic as a character. And I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing. I know when they made Darth Vader a little more sympathetic in the prequel trilogy, that kind of lessened who he was as a villain, I think. I love the prequels from Star Wars, don't get me wrong. I will defend them till the day that I die, but this was a little different. You see who he was, the Joker, who he was before he was the Joker. And, it's really like if you've seen Taxi Driver, and this is, everybody talks about this, it's been compared to Taxi Driver. If you've seen Taxi Driver, if you've seen Falling Down by Joel Schumacher, if you've seen some movies like that, this movie takes some of the best parts of those movies and wraps it up in an almost comic book-like lore. This is not a superhero movie. I don't know why it's labeled as a superhero movie. It's a comic book movie in regards to the fact that the main character in it is in comics and fights Batman, but that's really it. It's a psychological thriller. It's something that touches on like humanity's darker side and dealing with mental health, depression, anxiety, fear, loneliness, abandonment. I mean, those are all things that I personally have dealt with and currently still deal with in my life. You know, so the movie hit home for me in a way, but not in a way where I'm going to go out and start murdering people. The media has overblown that to an extreme, which is really sad. It's just, the media is just terrible, man. The geek pop culture that we're in is in a bad spot right now. People are divided down the middle between you know, people who have some sort of common sense and a head on their shoulders, like me. I'm not trying to, you know, brag or, you know, be arrogant or anything, but, you know, I've got common sense. I know the difference between reality and fantasy. This movie's not going to make me go kill people or commit acts of violence and things like that. And I am a person who has issues like Arthur Fleck has in the movie. So, you know, I think that's stupid. As far as like the social justice warriors and the virtue signaling and all the dumb bullshit politics that are in geek pop culture right now that's dividing the fan base down the middle, I'm obviously on a very, very certain side of it, and I've got no patience for it. I think it's all bullshit. And I think that this movie lives up to the hype. I think it's an important movie for some people. Some people will just see it as a crime movie. I've been told that this movie has been labeled violence porn. That people are leaving the theater because it's too dark, too scary. I'm calling bullshit and all of that. It's not a scary movie, really. I could see where some elements of it might be scary. It's not violence porn. Joker kills, I want to say 5 people on screen, and it's hinted that he kills 2 more people off screen, but that's not for sure. I mean, they didn't show it, but so I'm going to say 7 people in total, I think, that he kills in the movie. One of those for sure was justified, and that it was self-defense. The second one was part of that scene, so you could argue and say that that was also self-defense. But, you know, it wasn't super graphic. I like that it was realistic in terms of how it came across as far as the violence was with guns. But it wasn't overly gory or bloody. There was blood, don't get me wrong. Now maybe he killed 8, maybe he killed 6 people on screen. Anyway, so, you know, the movie was great. The score was ridiculously fantastic. The score was amazing. The cinematography was really good. The pacing was really good. Joaquin Phoenix, man, that was a really, really good performance. I mean, he's a great actor anyway. We all know that. But it was a great movie. Don't let the naysayers trick you into not going for, you know, fear that it's just a gore fest and a kill fest. It's not that. It's not a kill fest. There's not a ton of violence in it. It's more about Arthur's journey into becoming who he is, I guess. About finding a way for him to fit into society that doesn't know he exists, that doesn't care about him, that doesn't want him, that doesn't care about his problems, doesn't care about how he sees the world. And I can relate with all of that. But So he finds a way to release the thoughts that are in his head and inside of him that obviously society would and should look down upon. However, for him, it all makes sense, and insanity is just a point of view, I guess, in the world. But so he goes on this journey, this self-discovery journey of not realizing or understanding why he is who he is inside, and feeling like he doesn't have a place in the world, and having something inside, not knowing what it is, where it comes from, what it's going to lead to discovering that who he thought he was a lie, and that lie pushes him further into, becoming who he is supposed to be, to discovering his purpose in life, and becoming who he's meant to be, for good or bad. And it does it really, really well. I wouldn't mind if this movie were another half hour longer. I think it would have maybe benefited a little bit from more of a slow burn. I don't know. The pacing was great as it was anyway. I'm not complaining about that. It was great. Maybe I just wanted it to be longer because it was so good and I wanted to see more of it. But yeah, Joker was really good. Joker lived up to the hype for me. And if you're a fan of psychological thrillers, if you're a fan of Batman, if you're a fan of the Joker, and you don't mind knowing how he became who he is, this is a great movie. I will say, though, that it's one of those things where, like, this movie is obviously set in its own little splinter part of the DC universe. It's not connected to any other movies as of right now, as of yet. The one thing that might throw some people off, and it throws me off a little bit, and I don't care for it, is that by the time Bruce Wayne becomes Batman, because he's a little kid in this movie, the Joker will be old enough to where he will pose no threat to Batman whatsoever. In this movie, Joker is between 30 and 40 years old. It doesn't say exactly. And by the time Bruce becomes Batman, this Joker will probably be in his 50s or 60s. So not much of a threat physically. But if you can put that aside, it does not reference any other superheroes. Doesn't reference, the Gotham City isn't a world that has other heroes or villains. Put it that way. There may be Easter eggs here and there sprinkled throughout the movie that I didn't pick up on, because I wasn't really looking for those things. But it doesn't directly reference any heroes or villains. It doesn't directly reference a larger DC world as being part of that universe. So it's very much a standalone film, but it does, spoilers. If you don't want any more spoilers, skip ahead another 30 seconds. But it does set up Batman and things like that. So that's definitely something that exists in that universe, just not during this movie. So anyway, I kind of rambled for about 15 minutes here. Hopefully you didn't mind the rambling too much. And thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching the channel. And we will talk to you later. Peace.